Hey, what's up guys, it's DarkArmedDuelist and Integrity doing an ANNIHIATION deck profile. So I'm really excited for you guys because this deck is an awesome Cyverse combo deck that can summon out all sorts of amazing boss monsters like the Arrival Cyverse ANNIHIATION, which is an insane Link 6 monster. I even have some spicy tech boss monsters in the extra deck for you guys. So without further ado guys, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can become part of the notification squad, and definitely check out the Patreon down in the description below for all those awesome awards, like in your name description in a single video, getting a signed cards in the mail, and even getting to request a deck profile every single month you're a patron, along with test hands. So without further ado, let's get straight on into this. So first off, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Bakari. Bakari is a really good 3-of in the deck that has the ability, if it's normal or special summoned, you can add 1 Eyes Spell or Trap from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect because it's going to get you all of your combo pieces. We then play 3 copies of Achichi. Achichi is a great searcher for the deck, just like Bakari, with the ability that if this card is normal or special summon, you can add 1 level 4 or lower ANNIHIATION monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to get all of your combo pieces along with your Bakari. We then play 2 copies of Doyon. Doyon is a good 2-of in my opinion. I have played it at 1, but I really like the second copy in the deck because it has the ability, if it's normal or special summon, then you can target 1 ANNIHIATION monster in the graveyard and add it back to your hand. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for the link summon of a Cyverse monster, you can target 1 Eyes Spell or Trap in your graveyard and add it to your hand, which is a great effect to be able to get all of your cards back to the hand so you can start comboing off. We then play a single copy of Baruru. Baruru is a really neat card because it's basically a walking foolish burial, because it has the effect that if this card is normal or special summon, then you can send 1 ANNIHIATION monster from your deck to the graveyard, which is great to set up the graveyard with this card. And if this card is sent to the graveyard as a material for the synchro summon of a Cyverse monster, you can target 1 monster in your graveyard that was used as a synchro material, except this card, and special summon that card back, essentially being a 1-card synchro summon, which is really awesome. We then play a single copy of Hayari. Hayari is a good 1-of in the deck because it's just an extender that if you control an ANNIHIATION monster, you can special summon this card from your hand. We then play a single copy of Denmari. Denmari is a good 1-of as well because it adds a lot of protection in the deck for the single copy of this card, and is usually going to be the target to send a graveyard off of Baruru because it has the ability that when an attack is declared involving your ANNIHIATION monster, you can special summon this card from your hand, and if you do, negate the attack. But while you control a Link 6 monster, quick effect, you can banish this card from your field or grave and then target 1 face-up card your opponent controls and negate its effects until the end of the turn, which is a really good effect that basically just gives you an additional negate in all of your combos because you're going to have the copy of the Arrival out all the time. So it's a really good combo piece for the deck. We then play a single copy of ANNIHIATION Shield. This card is a good 1-of in the deck. It's just a good extender that has the ability that you can target 1 Cyverse effect monster that you control, negate its effects, and if you do, special summon this card from your hand, which is really good just to get this card out on the field so you can keep Link climbing. We then play 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Ash Blossom is a really good 3-of in the deck because it just basically stops the opponent from touching the deck. 2 copies of Ghost Bell. Ghost Bell is a really good card in the deck because it stops the opponent from touching the graveyard. And since we are playing Crossout Designator in the deck, I'm playing a single copy of Ghost Ogre. Ghost Ogre is really good because if you do draw into it, you can pop cards on the field with it, which is really nice. 1 copy of Effect Veiler for the Crossout Designator, but you can also use this card kind of like a toolbox negate for the opponent's monsters. And finally, a single copy of Nibiru. Nibiru is very important to play in the deck with Crossout Designator because we're going to be special summoning way more than 5 times in this deck during a turn. So this card is really good in the deck to be able to protect yourself from a Nibiru with Crossout Designator. So that's it for the monsters, guys. Let's get into the spells. So for the spells, we're going to be playing a single copy of Harpy's Feather Duster. Harpy's Feather Duster is really, really good in the deck to basically just stop your opponent's back row so we can go full combos. This card is a definite 1-of in this deck. Then play a single copy of Called by the Grave. Called by the Grave is a really good card in this deck because you can basically stop hand traps with this card, which is really, really nice. We play a single copy of Eye Contact. Eye Contact is really cool because if you have an Ignister Island on your field spell zone, you can reveal 1 Ignister Island in your hand, place it on the bottom of the deck, and if you do, you get to draw 3 cards. That's absolutely insane that you basically put a brick back on the bottom of the deck and then draw 3. That's really awesome. We then play a single copy of Idol Reborn, which is basically a Monster Reborn for the deck, but a quick play Monster Reborn. So this card is a definite 1-of because it's searchable. 1 copy of Fighting Spirit. Fighting Spirit is really neat because it has the ability to target an ANNIHIATION monster in your graveyard and special summon it. And if An Adding-Nister monsters you control with 2300 or more attack would be destroyed by card effect. You can banish this card from your graveyard instead. And if this card is banished, you can activate this effect that your Adding-Nister monsters with 2300 or more attack cannot be destroyed by battle this turn, which gives you all sorts of different protection with this card. So it's a definite one of. We then play 3 copies of Ignister Island. This card is what the entire deck revolves around, and it's just such a good card that if you control no monsters in your main monster zone, then you can special summon a level 4 lower Ignister monster from your hand. But for the rest of the turn, you cannot special summon monsters with the same original attribute by this effect of this card. Also, you can't special summon monsters except for Cyverse monsters, even if this card leaves the field, which is totally fine because it's all we're summoning anyways. But it also has the ability, if this card is in your graveyard, you can banish one Adding-Nister monster from the grave and just set this card back to the field. So if your opponent does Harpy Feather Duster you can just get this card back, and we have a searcher in the extra deck to get to this card. So it's a great card to play in the deck. We then play 3 copies of I Meet You, which has one of my favorite artworks in the entire game because it's just such a wholesome looking card. But it has the effect that you can reveal a Cyverse monster with 2300 attack in your hand or extra deck, and then you get to add an Adding-Nister monster with the same attribute from your deck to your hand. And then during the end phase of this turn, you take 2300 points of damage if you did not special summon the revealed monster or a monster with the same name after you resolve this effect. And it also has the ability you cannot activate monster effects for the rest of the turn after this card resolves except for Cyverse monsters, and you can only use I Meet You once per turn. This card is a great 3-of in the deck. It's pretty much the Rhoda, but this card is really, really good. We then play 3 copies of Signet Mining. Signet Mining is really good because it lets you send a card from your hand to the graveyard to add a level 4 or lower Cyverse monster from your deck to your hand, which is a great thing because you have all sorts of different searchers between your copies of Akari, Achichi, I Meet You, and your copies of Signet Mining. You have like 12 searchers in the deck, which is just absolutely insane. And for the last 3 spells, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Crossout Designator. Crossout Designator is a really good card in this deck because you want to go full combo with all of your cards, and you basically have Crossout Designator to make sure you don't get hit by a Nibiru, Effect Veiler, Ghost Ogre, Ghost Spell, Ash Blossom, Imperm, all those cards this card pretty much protects you from, which is really, really good. You can even protect yourself from like Feather Duster as well, which is kind of cool. So that's it for the magic cards. Let's get into the traps. So for the traps, we're going to be playing 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence is a really good card that's also a Crossout Designator target, but this card is really good because it has the ability that you can target one face-up monster your opponent controls and negate its effects even if this, or until the end of the turn. And then if this card was set before activation on the field, you can basically negate everything in that column, which is really good. But if you don't control any cards, you can activate this card straight from the hand, which is really cool. So that's it for the main deck, guys. Let's get into the extra deck. So for the extra deck, we're going to be playing a single copy of the Link 6 powerhouse of a boss monster, the Arrival Cyverse Adding-Nister, which is currently the only Link 6 in the game, but this card is absolutely nuts and super easy to get out because it has the ability that it just takes 3+ monsters with different attributes, and you can only control 1 copy of this card, and the original attack of this card becomes 1,000 times the number of Link materials used to Link summon this card, and it's unaffected by all the card effects, and then once per turn you can target one other monster on the field and destroy it, and if you do, you summon an Adding-Nister token to your zone, to a zone this card points to, which is really good to basically just generate tokens while also popping cards, and this card can get all the way to like 6,000 attack points, which is nuts. We then play a single copy of Access Code Talker just to pop cards on the field. It's a really good boss monster in this deck because it is a Cyverse monster, so it goes with the whole theme of the deck. We then play our new spicy tech, which is Decode Talker Heat Soul. This card is such a good card in the deck because it has 2300 attack. And it also has the ability that it takes 2+ Cyverse monsters with different attributes to summon this card, and it gains 500 attack for each monster it points to. And quick effect, you can pay 1,000 life points to draw a card. Then, if your life points are 2,000 or less, you can apply this effect to banish this card from your field, and if you do, special summon one Link 3 or lower Cyverse monster from your extra deck, except another copy of this card. This card is absolutely insane in the deck, and just a really good new boss monster to be able to summon to the field. We then play a single copy of Dark Temple Templar. Dark Templar is a really good card as well, because this card is going to get you all your monsters on the field off of its insane effect. It takes 3 monsters with different names to summon this card, but it's super easy to get on the field, and when it has the ability that if a monster is special summoned to a zone this card points to, even during the damage step, you can special summon as many level 4 or lower Adagnister monsters from your graveyard as possible to zones this card points to, but their effects are negated. But this card is really good because it helps you climb into the copy of the Arrival, so this card is really good. We then play a single copy of Transcode Talker, which is good in just about every single Cyverse deck to be able to help you link climb into some really good cards, because it's basically a walking Monster Reborn. 1 copy of Update Jammer, because it's just a really good card to be able to put in the deck, because if this card is sent to the graveyard as link material, that link monster can make a second attack during each battle phase this turn, which is really good to get a card like Access Code that's absolutely humongous using this card as a material, because then you're going to be able to attack twice with Access Code. And then playing 2 copies of Splash Mage. Splash Mage is really good. I've actually bumped this up to 2 recently in the deck, but it's really good because it has the ability that you can target a Cyverse monster in your graveyard and special summon it in defense position, but negate its effects. Also, you cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except Cyverse monsters. This card is a really good walking Monster Reborn to help you link climb into all sorts of different monsters. We then play a single copy of Security Dragon. Security Dragon is a good card in the deck because while this card is face up, if this card is co-linked, then you can target 1 monster your opponent controls and return it to the hand. But this card is also generic, so you can use the tokens that you're going to be generating off of the Arrival to link summon into this card. We then play a single copy of Cyverse Witkid. Witkid is really good because it works with our Synchro monsters and works with Baru really well. 1 copy of Link Spider, just in case we need it for the tokens. And in case we do get Nibiru, you can link it away to summon this card to get a monster out of the main monster zone for your Ignister Island. We then play 2 copies of the Dark Link 1 at Ignister, but this card is really good because it searches the Island card, which is really good because if this card is link summoned, you can add 1 Ignister Island from your deck to your hand, and then when a Cyverse monster with 2300 original attack activates its effect, quick effect, you can move this card to your monster zone this card points to, and then change this card's attribute. So you can basically change this to a divine attribute to make it so that you get more attributes in your copy of the Arrival, so you can make it even bigger. We then play a single copy of the Light Dragon at Ignister. This card is just a good one-of in the deck because it has the ability to detach a material of this card and destroy face-up monsters your opponent controls up to the number of at Ignister monsters that you control, which is really good to be able to help you go in for game. And finally, a single copy of Cyverse Quantum Dragon. You can't play Wind Pegasus over this card, but I really like this card in the deck because when you control Link monster, monsters your opponent control cannot target monsters you control for attacks except this one, which gives you a little bit of protection against the Arrival to make sure that your opponent's not going to attack through it. So this card is a really good one-of in the deck. So that's it for the deck, guys. I hope you did enjoy it. It's a really awesome deck to play. If you've never played at Ignister, you definitely should because it's super fun, especially now that we have Heat Soul. Heat Soul is just so good in the deck because it replaced Phoenix, and Phoenix just wasn't that great of a card. But since we have Heat Soul that has 2300 attack, you can just reveal that for all your different effects, which is really nice. So that's it for this one, guys. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell there so you can come part of Notification Squad, and we'll see you guys in the next video. See you later, guys.